Good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening to all those who are now looking and joining on this Dr. Matthews-Bey show, all coming out from the South Mexican, I mean South America, where the Corporation of Guyana is. I want to be thankful enough that I'm able to come and to broadcast to you live on enforcing the Constitution. The Constitution is the individual stuff, and the laws are the words that are coming out of his or her mouth. So Islam to you, my Moors, my Moorish brothers and sisters, Islam, 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 Islam. Even to those who see themselves as Aboriginal and Indigenous, good evening to you. To those who see themselves as Bantu, like me, good evening to you. Ah, it's a pleasure all the time being here constantly to sit and to talk and to discuss the things that matters to you the most. And one of them that matters to you the most is enforcing the Constitution, which is you, the individual being, that living soul. Now, I want to talk to you tonight upon the sudden uprise in Aboriginal studies, and to those who have uh, different difficulties comprehending why I am Dr. Matthews-Bey, is that is my specialty, Aboriginal studies and antiquity, also the etymology of words and law. So welcoming you here again. This is Dr. Matthews. So, and there was once an individual all the way out of the Corporation of Guyana, Mr. Ivan Van Sertima. He is one of my role models. He has been a role model to me, anyhow, and he has been there throughout time and history. And his story, to those who would have known Mr. Ivan Van Sertima, his book, they were here before Columbus. They came before Columbus was massive undertaking because he had to get his facts correct. And there we learned about the Bantu tribe being in the Americas long before the Caucasites had ever discovered America. And I don't say white, I say Caucasites because that's who they are. That is their original name. They're Caucasian, Caucasites out of amongst the Caucasus in Europe. That is who they are, and that's who they will remain. The Bantu tribe has always been populated all over the earth. We are the majority. Our story, our culture is real. Welcome you tonight. To those who are now joining, here alive, Dr. Matthews-Bey is in the house. Now, let me get straight at it. There is this notice, a narrative that is going around that Mr. West, Mr. Ye, or I don't know what his full name is, it's Kanye West or Ye, has been saying things that he has no knowledge of. Believe you me, when you turn a billionaire or a multi-millionaire You get to know where you are. That's no secret. You get to know where you are, but by then you fall under the brotherhood of Freemasonry. Those who will follow the rules of the New World Order of the Caucasus. It's a prevalent thing for them. So Mr. Ye would have realized that it is time somebody stood up and speak up for the people he now knows as brothers and sisters, whether he looks at us as Hebrews or whether he looks at us as Aboriginal or Indigenous, whether the story or the culture, the information on the story or the culture he's getting about the people that he called brothers and sisters, it's real because he knows it exists. He's trying to highlight the situation where we know to take cognizance, bring ourselves to a realization that this is the fact. In fact, bring ourselves to a realization that this is the fact, because we now need to know. But what is my main concern as an Aboriginal, Indigenous, more a Bantu person, if that's a tribe I'm from, is when do we, or when are we going to start reading, comprehending, and writing what we have comprehended? When are we going to start doing that? We still being spoon fed, and that's wrong. We need to stop being spoon fed. The mere fact is that we're trying to reignite our culture through the social means, through resources that we have gained. You comprehend what I'm saying? So we need to help each other on that road. We need to tell each other that, look, it is time we be here and what we are. It is time we start reading and comprehending and knowing the truth. It is time we start teaching each other the truth. It is time we start doing all these things because it is important enough. It is important enough for us to know. It is important enough for us to know our existence in which it came from, in which we came from in our existence by reading. By reading and start comprehending. It's time for us to stop having people telling us who we are and where we come from. We don't want a Caucasus idea. I'm going to show you an example today. I had a discussion with. I figured out it was a member of the media. I can't say specifically what media, but it was a member of the media. He maybe looks at the show and realized that I've mentioned a few things on homosexuality. And he was talking about discrimination. He said, why would you discriminate against homosexuals? So I said, I did no such thing. He said, but you did it on your show. I heard you. People heard you. Talk about your disregard for choice, people who want to choose how they want to live. And I said to him, I said, no, no, no. Maybe you misinterpret me. He said, do you support the notion of homosexuality? And I said, yes, I do. So he said, but on your show, you said that you don't like people. I said, no, you didn't comprehend me. I said, the word homosexual has one meaning and one meaning only. Homo means man, sexual means sexually active. So homosexual, according to the etymology of the word, is a sexually active man. So I said, why would I not support a sexually active man? That man, according to Latin, because the word homosexual means Latin, it's a Latin word, means sexually active man. That's what it means. So I said, that's the etymology of the word homosexual. Then he switched it. He said, okay, I realize you're trying to get difficult. What about a gay person? And I laughed at him. I said, uh, are you a learned person? Have some sense of edification? Because you're asking questions that doesn't really make sense. He said, well, since you want to put it over in a fancy way about homosexual and what it means a very sexually active man, because that's what homosexual means. He said, okay, so what about the gay person there? So I said, what is it about the gay person that you trying to ask me about? He said, well, do you support a gay person? I said, yes, I do. He said, well, how would you how would you try to describe homosexual in a different way? Now you're supporting it. I said, but gay means to be happy. That's the etymology of it. It means to live a happy life. That's a gay person or a gay couple. So he started scratching his head. He said, oh Lord, Mr. Matthews, you seem to be wanting to be a very hard person. So, okay, he put it in a Guyanese term. He said, what about anti-men then? So I said, the men whom my aunt dates, I have no problem with them because I have never seen them. Whether if my aunt has one man, that's my auntie man. He started laughing. He said, okay, well, do you have a description about persons who would want to would want to behave in an unnatural manner? So I said, well, boy, over the years they try to describe such persons. I said, if you turn to the scriptures, the scripture says they're lovers of themselves, one to another. I said, but the scriptures in itself doesn't have a direct definition of such persons because there's none. The only difference is the scripture says, and I'm talking about the Bible, it calls them an abomination unto the creation of mankind. Because where a male and female is concerned, it talks about the procreation of life. To go and procreate the world, increase its population. And there's only two persons can do it, a male and a female. Two females can do it, two males can do it. Even if you have a sperm bank, the sperm comes from the male, not the female. So that in itself, the laws of nature, that in itself teaches you that we ought to obey and do the right thing, not the wrong thing, the right thing. What is right and what is wrong? Look at nature itself and it's going to teach you that. So I had to show him. I said, do you consume alcohol? He said, yes. I said, do you know that alcohol was never designed to be consumed? He said, he doesn't know that. I said, because when you get high or intoxicated or drunk, what happens? You lose your focus and your senses. You collapse all over the street. You've been taken advantage of. When you wake up next morning, then you get to realize that all sorts of ugly and nasty things happened to you while you were out stone cold. I said, but it's selling on the shelf. It's not good. It's not a good consumable item. They got different versions of it. I took that away and I reasoned with him again. I said, look, Diana celebrated Pinktober, the month of October. They call it Pinktober. Cancer awareness. Everywhere you turn, you see something pink. It reminds you of cancer awareness. But is there an awareness to prevent you from cancer? Oh no. But there is awareness to highlight cancer. Which one is better? Highlighting the cancer or an awareness to prevent this Pinktober? The Pinktober is actually telling you that Cancer Awareness Month is a month to have an awareness of people who are troubling from cancer, breast cancer, vaginal cancer. You name all the cancer that there is, colon cancer. It's a Cancer Awareness Month, but there's no promotion for the prevention of cancer awareness. I don't think so. I've never heard it. And one of the main factors in the increase of cancer throughout the Caribbean and South America, it is sugar, sugar, a non-consumable item. Sugar was never designed for you to consume. If you know what sugar was designed for, you'll be surprised. To produce a fuel substance to give life to an engine. That's what it was designed for, because out of sugar, you get the molasses. And out of the molasses refined, you get a fuel substance. There are different names you could call them. I think caffeine is one of them. You can throw that into an engine and you can give energy to it. That's what sugar is for. But we're now consuming it. We're digesting it. We're giving our children. Our children are coming down with diabetes. Children. When it could only be found in adults at one particular stage, now you have children who are having type 1 and type 2 diabetes. Children who's going to what, I'm trying to remember the name. But children who's going through the process of recycling their blood so their kidneys and their liver can work. That should never be. Children. So you could imagine the amount of sugar that they consume. At the end of the month, of the week, or the day. And their body got to keep flushing it out. And they're not encouraging you to drink water. Oh, drink juice, drink Gatorade, drink this, drink that. You're being clogged up. sugar inflames the blood, give the blood inflammation when you see those boils coming out in your skin and you want to burst it and all that, that ooze coming out of it. Your blood is being inflamed. We call it abscess. That's the worst stage of it. And we're yet still not observing what we're doing to ourselves. And the system likes it that way. Now we continue to do these things. We continue to damage ourselves. We continue to push to put ourselves under duress. We had that lengthy conversation. And it was constant. The questions arose. And then he says to me, but it seems to me like you have an answer for everything. I said, because I like to read. And I read the books, it gives me the information. It's not that I know everything. It is just that I've passed the standard in which you're being educated under, which is third grade. That's why they call us third world countries. Donald Trump said it the best, we're shithole countries. Because our education process and standards is of third grade. You cannot go above third grade. If we go above third grade, then we become a revolutionist. And they don't want that. They don't want us to see the light, so they're keeping us under a third grade education system. So they call us third world. Because we don't know what's best for us. We think we know what's best. And for us to keep being third world country, they give us an algorithm. It gives us the beats and the tunes, so we could only go through that. We can't step out of that algorithm process, because if we step out of it, we become sick and die. They don't have to kill us now. We're already killing ourselves. Every single day with the things we consume, we're killing ourselves. It's like we're using unconsumable items that are not designed for human consumption. Well, they gotta say human, but they're not designed for the consumption of the living soul. So we can to satisfy ourselves using the very first one, which is sugar. The second one is the rice. Brothers and sisters, if you know what the rice is designed to do, you'll be amazed. It was grown for a particular purpose to create one thing, paper, so you can write on it. The heavy starch comes off the rice, and the rice itself, when it's properly mashed and the starch is sprayed back onto it to give it that gluey substance so it can stick together. Paper. It was grown to manufacture paper from it. And we now using that as a consumable item. Our households are consuming rice on a large scale basis. Much less the chicken and the beef and the pork. Why do you think the medical industries laugh at us at every New Year? Because during the Christmas when we take that process and poisoning ourselves, deteriorating ourselves by the loud black cake and white pudding and black pudding and the sauce and the pepper pot, all these meaty items, all these items that were designed to destroy us. It was grown for that purpose. And because we can't see beyond the veil, we got to remain in that purpose. Poisoned, consumable countries. And then they come to your country, see all the natural resources that you got, take it from you and give you paper with some ink on it. And when you're ready, you gotta buy back your produce from the countries that are taking it from you and giving you paper. You gotta use the same paper to buy back, to consume again and again and again and again and again. Do you sit and study the level of indoctrination that we're in? Did anybody ever sit and study the levels of indoctrination that we are in? It is so destructive. Believe you me, I cannot believe we are still blinded to the fact. And because we are so blinded to the fact, we become an inherent danger to ourselves. So the system tells us now, because you're a danger to yourself, you don't know how to live or to survive. We now have to teach you because you're on a plantation. You have never left. You have never. I know I left. I'm no longer Guyanese, so I'm off the plantation. I was there, and I was still annoyed about myself that I took. It took me 40 odd years to come off the plantation. Well, I'm so happy that I did at this young age. Awake, my brothers and sisters, to see what's happening now. All around the world, people are now talking about the Moors. Who are the Moors? I heard of them. Can you imagine these people built Europe? Can you imagine that? Europe was given a name of a queen from Ethiopia, the continent of Ethiopia, or Ethiopia, whatever you want to call them, or the continent of Kush, okay, man. Her name is Europa. That is why Europe is given that name. As a matter of fact, she went there to rule the place because the Moors were the rulers of the place. They didn't want to tell you that. So you check every place that has these Moors that were rebellious, got a history. And why? Because they tried to enslave the people. Europe has a rebellious history of Moors who rebelled against slavery. And they had to listen. They had to fight civil wars because the people refused to be enslaved. Jamaica had the other one, the other set, we were calling them the Maroons, which they fought the British, the French, and the Dutch. You had the island of Hispaniola that fought three nations. Yes, the Dutch, the French, and the British fought, sorry, the Americans. Well, the Americans were the British anyhow. Fought them, big stinking dirty war. And when you come to the Americas, they were being fought something the day they landed. The Arawaks give them a hell of a time. The Arawaks gave them a hell of a time. But something the Arawaks here, the Arawaks knew that they are not people to be trusted. You cannot be trusted. And those people who doesn't know, the Arawaks were also Bantu people. Dark like me, wearing feathers, yes. And they had a hell of a time with the Arawaks. The Arawaks control a whole stretch, piece of land that comes from the South America into Central America, into North America, going all the way up to Canada. They call that Colombia. Yeah, of course. They knew. They didn't trust them. And because they get to colonize the place, because they realize that in order to you to rule the people, you have to colonize them. You have to divide them. When you divide them, you rule over them. So there's no more one culture. We were a people that spoke 300 and still speak 300 different languages and 1,000 different dialects. We created every language you see on earth. But the two powerful and main languages were the Latin and English. English was designed for commerce. To those who want to come and trade, you had to know English. And the trading laws and also the treaties and everything, yes, was written and understood in English, and, and comprehended in English. Read your story. I know what I'm telling you. There are information provided time after time for us to comprehend who we are as a people. Tell them who we are. We are more. We are Bantu, more. Aboriginal, indigenous. We're not black. We're not colored. We're not Negro. We're not Indian. We're Aboriginal people. Aboriginal people. And I'm glad I had that conversation. I met with a group of people today and we talked about a couple of words. And it was a bit astonishing that some people would have known and some people would not have known. We discussed upon a word that is normally used in the Christian community as a hate or as a sinful act, which was phobia. But if you realize where the word phobia derives from, it's a Swahilian word. It comes from a language, Swahilian language, which the Bantu people spoke. It means obedience to the nature, to obey the laws of nature. That's what phobia means. And the word obey, O-B-E-Y, derived from the word obeya. Obia. See? O-B-E-Y-A-A, obia. And O-B-E-Y is obey. Same word. It's just a backward system that we're in. Instead of we going forward and the past becomes the back of us, we're going from the past. We're going backwards from the future into the past. That's what's happening to us. We're in a backward system. Everything is backward. Somehow that we don't see it. And when we do see it, say what we're going to say. I really hate this particular part. I constantly hear it. Why we can do about it? We can't do nothing about it. We come and meet it. So then, if we come and meet it, that means you should accept it. Yes. So why do you have an outcry about slavery? Because if you come and meet slavery, which is in slavery you are, and you can't do nothing about it, so don't cry when oppression hits you. Because to be enslaved is to be oppressed. And slavery is just a nice word. Whether you are a bourgeoisie slave, which is a multimillionaire, or you are a civilized slave, or you are a public official slave, officiate, at the end of the day, that's who you are. So when the cries of those who are crying in the wilderness, trying to seek freedom, and they revolt, do not complain. That's their choice. No one wants to be enslaved, at least not me. I will revolt. Believe you me, I will revolt in the most harshest manner. In the most harshest manner. Definitely. Men were not designed to be enslaved by another man. It's like if you come into my house and you're trying to tell me how I'm a slave, how my wife must live and my children must live and behave. What do you think will happen after a while? I would take my money, go out and buy a machete and come back in. Because slavery is the most violent act a man can do to another man. To enslave that person, take away his or her inalienable right. Seriously, no man shall take my inalienable right. You can bring a letter signed by Christ because I know he ain't gonna take away my inalienable right. You know that very well. The right to life, liberty, and property, taking that away. You know what mayhem you are erupting? Do you know what island of Islam when those Moors, the Bantu people revolted? So they said, these people come here, suddenly they want to enslave us, so they can't work. The enslavers were definitely put to the test. Now, Haiti telling France that it's still got a total of 20. France is telling Haiti that they still got a total of 20.5 billion more to pay off. Guess what they're paying off? Reparations. Yes. Reparations. Well, no, they can't collect it. I don't know who's collecting it. Then the U.S. now steps in and try to enslave them to a day like today. And that's why Haiti has the largest revolt in the Caribbean. And here what gets me vexed. They are part of the Caribbean community. And these juggerheads sit down there and watch these people become enslaved into the harshest punishment ever. They're still enslaved. Here is the problem. They're enslaved by an isolation. But the Caribbean community, the biggest thing to talk about, what the Caribbean community is encouraging on that state of Haiti, present day abject slavery. These people are pushed into circumstantial constraints by a cruel level of oppression. Some of them are here on the South American continent, establishing themselves in the corporate society, civilization of the Corporate Republic of Guyana, and they still be treated bad. Oh my gosh, you can see the level of slavery that they're in. Look, this is a topic that it me to the bone to know that we are being fed so much lies, not only from the government, not only from the political body, not only from the laws, the universities, the doctors. We are being fed so much lies, even from the church. the education system, the high levels of indoctrination that is so destructive to the Aboriginal living soul, then you want us to forget and forgive when you're still doing it? Then they formulate it in such a way to show that they care about you. They now Europe, Black Lives Matter. There's no such thing as Black lives. They're Aboriginal lives. That matters. Aboriginal, indigenous lives. Black is a color scheme to what you call a color of law. Black, white, Indian, Negro, colored, all these things are what you call a substitute to the color of law. You're governed by it. Not even I don't know why we call the Caucasites white, because they're not white, they're Caucasites. You call a Caucasian man a Caucasian, you see how he reacts. He'll be pissed off. Just what you call him that? You say, oh, he's not Caucasian, he's white. Yo, bro, Caucasian. That's who you are. We are aboriginal, abstract from the Father, original person, original persona, original living soul. That's who we are. That's an identification to the land that was taken from us. They can't dispute that. They have to go back to the spaceship that they came from. We are the only living organisms on the earth that has a pineal gland, that has a blood type that cannot be certified by no machine, and that blood type is O positive. Anything that they want to do, any disease, curable or plan and develop disease that are infectionable, they do that with the person's O positive blood. Aboriginal. These people are such a destructive factor that they're designed, their DNA is designed to tear apart the life of a natural living soul. It's in their DNA to destroy what you take years to build, because they don't like that. You're not supposed to. Some people say, well, you got to create a system for us to live by. We're so accustomed to the system, we want a system. We live in unison with each other. You have different sections of Bantu people. Some of us were designed to study laws. Some of us were designed to study elements and intelligence. Some of us were designed to study the cosmos. Each and every one of us has a particular addition to life. We knew where we were supposed to be. Some of us are farmers. Some of us have to edify each other. Some of us have to farm to feed each other. Some of us are builders, so we have to build to make sure that we are, and we work in unison. We were the currency, the wealth of a nation. With all them tons of gold that are going out of this land that we call Mexico. We surpassed the wealth of the dollar. But the dollar could only be strong unless we crave for it. We work hard for it. We kill for it. That's what the dollar is worth. We're willing to kill for it. We're willing to comb the heavens just to get it. That's what the dollar gained its strength from. You take away all of that, it has no power. Simple example, the corporation that's next door to the corporation of Guyana, Venezuela. One morning they wake up and realize the hundreds of billions of dollars that they got in the bank was nothing. You want to buy a loaf of bread, you got to pay $1 million for it. The dollar worth nothing. People prefer to heat it up and to burn it to keep warm during the time of cold. What are we to do about these things? Hmm? Tell me, as a people. Let us have this conversation. What do we do about these things? Hmm? How do we go about making these things a reality? How do we go about doing it? If we continue to suffer, I put endless of videos there on my social media platform just to edify you to those who do not read them somehow. Boy, Reagan to boy. You know, you can't fight against it. The system gonna kill you. Well, hey, I volunteer for that. You ain't gonna pay me. I volunteer for that because I refuse to allow my brothers and sisters to not only to be dead in spirit, but dead in flesh and dead emotionally. That's why they call us human. 2/3 of a living soul. So they say you're a human being, and we say yes, we are. They look at you and laugh at you. You think you can call the royal family, or so they call themselves, human? That's an offense. You can't call them humans. That's why they. That's why you have to address them. You say, His Highness, His Royal Highness, the Prince or the King. Well, I want to know what's royal about them. There's no royalty. They don't even have the blood of royalty. But they colonize this entire place. It's ridiculous. They ain't only colonize it, they enslave it, they take away your rights, your religion, your culture, your land, everything. They give you a book that marks BIB. Oh gosh, BIBLE. They give you a book that marks the Bible. And in that book, you close your eyes to pray and you open it up and they take your land from beneath you. Now you have to work hard to pay them reparations for your land. You want to know what's reparations? Some of us get on the television and be talking about reparations. You think reparation is for slavery, for emancipation? Yes, it is. But for the owners of the slaves, not the slaves. The owners of the slave, you have to give them reparation because they invested in you. So the countries now who took away the slaves from them to make them citizens of the corporation, you have to now pay the farmers reparation for the investment. To put it in layman terms, you're a public servant. And those public servants, whether you're under contract or not, you're a slave. And because that is the fact, when you retire, you get a form of reparation for your services given. And you still got to pay taxes on it. And that form of reparation is what you call pension, old age pension, gratuity pension, insurance pension. That's what they give you. You work hard all your life. Now they want you to go stand up by a post office with a book and a flag in it, talk about $25,000. That's a form and a part of reparation for your services given freely because you ain't draining nothing from it. They give you money, they take it back. Which corporation, gives you money, doesn't want it back. They take it back from you. They give you a salary. Out of the salary, you pay PAY, pay as you earn. You pay allowances. You pay 33% back to your allowances that is given to you in your salary. Then when you go into the, oh yeah, you're finished yet? Then you go to church and pay 1/10 of your earnings. When you finish in church, you go into the supermarket and whichever place you go and buy stuff or product. Whilst buying, you pay 14% back value added tax. And who's benefiting from all these things? The same people that have you in chains, mentally and physically, they have you in chains. Present day slavery. The same people that have you in chains are benefiting from you. So what are you gaining? Nothing. At the end of the day, you ain't gain nothing. You could done build your house. You ain't got no more mortgage to pay to the bank. Lapse at least 2 years, or within that year, for the entire year, lapse on what you call land tax, or you call it rates and taxes. You lapse on the rates and taxes, take it to court and take away your house from you. But the rates and taxes is for the land that your house is on. So you never stop paying. You have to pay until you die. When you die, your children take it over. So they're always in chains, bound to the pit of carnage. Let me tell you something. You have to, as a people, realize where you are. You never realize I keep using that expression all the time on the show. Focus. Know where you are and who you are. When you know these things, you bring yourself to reality then, and only then you have the knowledge of who you are. I always love the message. It is my designated desire. It's my designation to free my people, to be a fighter for them, and to know and to read and comprehend and focus to realize that I have to be a more. I have to live what I preach. I must not be a sheep in wolf, a wolf in sheep clothing. I have to live what I preach and teach. That is the only way I can arise myself and others out of this treacherous bondage of slavery. I am Dr. Matthews. The doctorate in which I pursue so daily and dearly is in Aboriginal Indigenous Studies, Antarctica, and the etymology of words that were created for us to live by. My duty will always be for my people and by. That's why I say to you now, I accept every little progress in your life that you want to not to keep on procrastinating, but to develop yourself. You call me 611-6575. WhatsApp me most of the time. You can WhatsApp me and I'll answer to you. or send me a message, I'll respond. I want to say to you to stay safe, be careful, sanitize yourself, and wear a mask. Don't forget that everyone should take it to public space. This Dr. Matthews-Bey show comes to you with a kind compliment of event management services, relief distributors in Black Love. I want to thank you very much for tuning in tonight and keep on sharing this program because I talk the facts and I only talk the facts to those who can handle the facts. I want to say good night and cheerios for now.